Sometimes you wake up and you know it. Nothing can stay the same anymore. Maybe you felt it too in that quiet moment before you fall asleep, when your mind goes silent and a small, trembling voice whispers, "I can't keep living like this." It's the moment your soul knocks on the walls you've built around yourself, reminding you that you were never meant to just exist, ticking off days on a calendar, breathing but not living, surviving but not truly alive. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And maybe it's time for you to awaken. You see, there is a truth most people run from their entire lives. The day you stop lying to yourself is the day your real life begins. How do you know it's time to change? You know it's time when the pain of staying the same finally becomes greater than the fear of change. You know it's time when you are surrounded by noise, yet you feel alone, scrolling endlessly, hoping something will fill the emptiness, but nothing does. You know it's time when every morning feels heavy, when you dread the day before it even begins, and the small joys that once colored your world have faded to gray. Viktor Frankl said, "The meaning of life is to give life meaning." Sometimes it's a heartbreak that wakes you up. Sometimes it's losing everything you thought you couldn't live without. And sometimes it's nothing at all but a slow erosion of your spirit, a subtle decay of your dreams. But one day, you can no longer deny it. Something inside you has died, and you must rebuild yourself from the ashes. Why is change so hard? Your brain is not your enemy, but it fears the unknown. It clings to familiar patterns even when they hurt you, because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. Your mind creates stories about who you are, and it repeats them so often that you believe them. I'm not good enough. I'll fail anyway. I'm too old, too young, too broken. These are not truths. They are the walls your fear has built around your potential. Your habits keep you stuck because your brain loves efficiency. It wires your actions into automatic loops, so you don't have to think. It prefers the certainty of repetition over the discomfort of change. And there's your fear. Fear is a survival mechanism, a protector, but it becomes a prison guard if you let it rule you. Fear of judgment, fear of starting over, fear of failing, fear of the unknown. Marianne Williamson said, "Man's deepest fear is not that he is inadequate, but that he is powerful beyond measure." Your past traumas can keep you locked in cycles that repeat until you learn to break them, because a part of you believes that pain is what you deserve, that happiness is for others, not for you. But here is the truth. Change feels like death to your old self, but it is the birth of your true self. Where do you begin? You begin by becoming radically honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what in my life is draining me? What am I pretending not to know? Who do I become if I let go of this version of me? You begin by creating sacred space within your day for silence, so you can hear the quiet voice of your intuition. Let it speak to you without distractions, without scrolling, without numbing. You begin by defining a vision for yourself that terrifies and excites you at the same time. A vision so clear that it makes you emotional when you think about it. Not because you know how to get there yet, but because it reminds you of who you truly are beneath the fear. You begin by embodying that vision in the small daily choices you make. Change does not require grand gestures. It requires you to show up for yourself consistently, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You begin by understanding that discomfort is the price of freedom, and that growth requires you to let go of your attachment to who you've been. You begin by seeking the discomfort that leads to expansion. Speak up when you're afraid. Take the risk when it matters. Say yes to the opportunities that align with your future self. Heraclitus said, "Fate is character." You begin by building discipline not as punishment, but as an act of love towards your future self. Wake up early, not because you have to, but because you get to. Move your body not to punish it, but to honor it. Feed your mind with wisdom, not noise, because you deserve clarity. You begin by surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to grow, not those who keep you comfortable in your limitations. Let go of relationships that drain your spirit, even if it hurts. You begin by embracing solitude, understanding that loneliness is not the enemy, but a teacher, guiding you back to yourself. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And above all, you begin by forgiving yourself for your past, for your mistakes, for the times you betrayed your dreams, and you allow yourself to begin again. What not to do. When changing your life, many people fail not because they lack potential, but because they sabotage themselves in the process of change. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of themselves before they begin. But the perfect moment never arrives. The person who waits for perfection will wait forever. They consume endless information, plan meticulously, envision a new life, but they never take the first step because they fear starting small. They fear looking foolish, failing publicly, making mistakes. But the path to mastery is paved with imperfection. They compare themselves to others who are further ahead, using this comparison as an excuse to stay where they are. But comparison is a thief that robs you of your own journey. They stay in their comfort zone, convincing themselves it is safer, while their dreams slowly die within them. Comfort feels good, but it kills the spirit. Growth requires you to embrace the uncertainty, to lean into fear, to dance with discomfort. They allow the opinions of others to dictate their actions, forgetting that most people projecting their fears onto you have never dared to live fully themselves. Voltaire said, "Perfect is the enemy of good." Change requires you to act before you feel ready, to move even while afraid, to trust yourself enough to take one small step today and another tomorrow, and another the day after that. This is your beginning. You were not born to live the same day on repeat until you die. You were born to expand, to create, to become, to live in the fullness of your potential. Confucius said, "The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You only need to take the first step and trust yourself enough to take the next. Promise yourself now, "I will not delay my life any longer. I will not betray my potential out of fear. I will begin." Let this be the moment you decide that your life will not remain the same, that you will no longer settle for less than the life you are capable of living. Change is not easy. It is not comfortable. It will break you open. It will test your resolve. It will demand the death of your old self. But on the other side of that death is your rebirth, your freedom, your true life. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." Live in a way that your actions reflect your commitment to your transformation. Let your life become the proof that it is never too late to change. Today, you are invited to begin again. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, "Who am I ready to become?" And let your next breath be your first step toward that answer.